Okay. This is episode of the 12 of the episode of the Depths of Gaming, yes. It has been taken over by the Russians, yes.
Yes, hello, greetings, comrades. I am welcome you into the depths of gaming.
Indeed,
Ha
because
ha ha.
it turns out that Russia we pick president this time.
Really?
No.
Ah, good.
No, we haven't found that out yet. That's what the investigation's for. But
Yeah, Russia elected your president. Ah, yes.
yeah, that's the theory. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about far more important things: video games.
Yes, electronic entertainment. Now,
Indeed. So
a lot of
first,
have happened, yeah, in the news.
yeah, it's been an interesting week for news, and we scared one person off immediately, and that's always good.
Oh,
That's normal. Uh,
yes, we are usually that terrifying.
no, I'm just joking because I know that's just from me having it queued up. So a jury's deciding whether or not Valve owns Dota 2, and I think this is really interesting because this there was another lawsuit like this earlier in 2012, I believe, but I think it was over the game mechanics or whatever. But the interesting thing here is Valve is going after two companies because they're making games that use a lot of the artwork from Dota 2. And the companies are arguing that it's fair use because the person that originally made the Dota mod has said that his map is open for fair use.
Hmm. So basically, he said that his stuff is Creative Commons.
Yeah, he's
That
saying he has
means,
Creative Commons,
hmm
and because he has Creative Commons, uh, Valve can't make them stop what they're doing, and they're in fact saying that they have no real right over the Dota framework whatsoever.
the situation is a little, at least from what my understanding, a little bit more complicated than whether they own or not own the Dota, because technically they own the Dota franchise. That's all on them. However, what they do not own is the models, because models belong to the Blizzard,
Mm-hmm.
and technically the guy couldn't give Creative Commons to those. So
Right here.
there is
Oh,
a little.
so this is the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
American copyright system is so fucked up. But that's basically what happens when you're trying to make a property out of something that does not really exist. It doesn't have a physical form.
Well, it's also just always been on tightrope ground because the entire Warcraft mythos is reworked Tolkien. So
Yeah, technically there is no original work.
there's technically no original work, and that's why Blizzard hasn't gone over after anyone for this to much effect.
Yeah,
Because
what did they do is they did something much more interesting. They made it their own quote unquote Dota, and they made it better.
well, what they did is they based it around their properties specifically,
Yes.
so that yes, they it's a used game framework, but all of the characters are theirs and theirs alone. It's not like other games where here's the Drow Archer who's generic,
Hmm.
and that's given them a degree of protection in their characters and their mechanics.
Yes, because they do hold the copyright towards the mechanics of the game, the art assets of the game. They hold the copyright on the actual code of the game. All of that is theirs. They also own trademarks on Heroes of the Storm, which means that no one else can use the words Heroes of the Storm in the context of a video game.
Correct.
Or merchandise, I think. That depends on
across
the
the
type
board,
of...
yeah.
well, that depends on the trademark that they applied to. I'm not really familiar with that.
Blizzard has the money. They can trademark anything they can.
Technically, yes, but with trademarks, the situation is, as with all things legal, more complicated. You can only get trademarks for things that apply to your particular product, and
Right.
for if you want to expand somewhere in the future, you can grab trademarks for that. But if someone wants to create a washing machine and call it Heroes of the Storm washing machine,
Yeah,
they can.
that wouldn't be protected.
Yeah. Which would be quite an amazing washing machine.
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting because that's what Games Workshop's been doing with Age of Sigmar. Is they just renamed all the fantasy races and made them different, and they trademarked that.
Yes.
Because they got so frustrated because people were just aping their work and there wasn't much they could do because as far as all the lawyers were concerned, it was just a miniature that kind of looked like one of theirs.
Mm-hmm. You cannot really make a solid legal argument.
Ogre. You cannot copyright an orc. You can't do any of that.
You cannot copyright an elf.
Yeah.
But you can copyright an Eldar. You can copyright a Krork. You can copyright a Briton, right?
Well, that's why they stopped calling the Imperial Guard the Imperial Guard. They call them the Astra Militarum now. And you know what?
Yes.
I'm going to might as well shift. We're talking about Warhammer now, so on to the next topic.
No. That would make this entire episode way too short.
Trust me, we have more. We have plenty more because the Warhammer topic's going to take us a while. And here's why. Because they've released new information daily.
Oh yeah, they are very productive.
And everyone's been giving me shit because I've been telling them, oh, Games Workshop's kind of listening to their people this time. They're giving us lots of information like we always ask for. They're going, oh no, Games Workshop are assholes. They don't do anything right. Like, but it's right here. Closed ears. All right, well, fuck you.
I think they are listening more to the advertising department, which actually knows that fandom management is something to be to spend money on.
Well, yeah. So for starters, they seem to have hired community people that know what they're doing, and they can talk about the game mechanics while remaining fluffy, which is what all community managers aspire to, is to fluff everything so that people feel good. But what's important is we nerds, we want crunch. We want to look at these posts and go, okay, here is information and rules and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, we are nerds are very difficult people to satisfy because you have to give them concrete answers, and companies do not like that idea.
No, they do not. So, like every blog they've been posting daily has a graphic that seems to be lifted directly from the document, the rules document, which I love. I love that. And I'm I'm loving that they're discussing chunks of the rules. They've been discussing factions and how those factions are going to play better. Like they released one this week where they discussed how the Tyranids, because of the way damage works has changed, Tyranids of the medium size got a huge buff because now they have a couple wounds. They have nice, powerful weapons now.
So good news all around for Tyranid players.
Because of the way characters have been buffed, you can keep your psychic, your synapse creatures in the midst of combat in a safe spot. Which is what used to destroy Tyranid players is they couldn't really use their synapse that effectively because obviously they'd kill the synapse creatures get focused down first. And
because without the synapse creatures, the Tyranids revert back to their primal state, right?
Yeah, they get dumber. Now all synapse does is it negates morale checks, which is fucking fantastic because the way morale works now is it just removes your guys instead of sends them running.
That makes a lot of sense because now you do not lose like entire squad. You just lose those people that are in the squad that are kind of
and it's by the amount of casualties you take. So if a bunch of flamethrowers destroy your termagants, like half of them, if it's in synapse, you don't have to roll for more Tyranids dying. Because normally you might roll high and like you have to remove 6 or 7 more miniatures and it would suck. So I like that. However, that's not the biggest thing that happened this week.
Oh, please tell us about the most exciting news this week.
Is in his infinite wisdom, Rabute Gilliman commissioned a project on Mars thousands of years ago. And this project was to breed in Primarch genes into the gene seeds of various chapters of Warrior. And the resulting warriors are now the Primaris Space Marines. They wear the new Tacticus armor. They have new bolt guns with scopes on them called bolt rifles. And they are amazing.
Yes, they are the March of the OP. However, Gilliman used the same Primarch seed that ended up dividing the Primarchs in half between Chaos and the Loyalists.
As any history buff of the 40k universe knows, the reason the whole Horus heresy happened was because of the Primarchs. Half of them basically went rogue. No. Now, here's the thing, is they've specifically said in the blog post that there will be new chapters of these Primaris Marines, in addition to every chapter gaining these abilities, or gaining these choices. It's like the Clone Wars of 40k. It's all of these new, fresh warriors are coming in, and everyone's just swinging their arms back and forth, going, "Oh, this is perfect. Nothing bad's gonna happen."
Yep. Here comes the people who are going to free us of the chaos, cause more war to happen, more turmoil in the realm of souls, and more chaos? Huh. Yeah, about that.
So I have the Intercessor Squad pulled up. And Intercessor Squad seems to be the they're rifle infantry that are really badass. They are fielded in groups of 5, 4 intercessors and a sergeant. Each model has a bolt rifle. They have a bolt pistol, frag grenades, and crack grenades.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing with the bolt pistol is you're able to say, okay, my intercessors are switching to pistols, and then they just and that lets them continue to fire with abandon into the enemy. So, because you can fire pistols in melee combat now. So, I cannot stress this enough. Bolt pistols got buffed. Everything got buffed. Everything got buffed into this edition. Everything. Absolutely fucking everything. And as this one guy said, I think he's the Glacial Geek, is he said, well, I've been looking around and people have been saying this is the addition of the vehicle, addition of the character, addition of the infantry, addition of this, addition of that. So no one knows. And I second that.
It feels for me like Games Workshop is taking their universe from the 20th century, quote unquote, from the 80s and the 90s into the 2010s and 2020s.
Yes,
this is a change that is going to stick forever. Yeah. Age of Sigmar. Huh.
The Age of Primaris. So,
or the Age of Primaris, yeah.
So they did flat out say that there are going to be many, many, many new squads of Primaris. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of Custodes Primaris. That would be cool.
Maybe Custodes are already Primaris.
No, they also have Primarch Geomseed, but they're different.
Yeah, the Custodes are their own very interesting breed of Space Marines. They are blessed with the with the newest weapons, best armor, best everything. That's basically the fluff behind them.
That's why
they are the Royal Guard.
Though.
They are the Royal Guard of the Emperor.
Because the thing with the Custodes is that they're really hard to field. And the Primaris are kind of the next best thing, because anyone who plays Space Marines knows the best thing ideally would be a giant brick of Terminators. However, the way the rules were written, they didn't really have that the power that they should logically have had. Now they do. They have 2 wounds, their weapons are stronger, so on and so forth. And now the Primaris are fill a heavy infantry role that the Terminators no longer fill. Now they're super heavy.
Yeah, I really want to see them in action. As I said before on previous episodes of the Dog Show, I'm not really a tabletop player when it comes to Warhammer, but I do love the lore and I do love the PC games. And I did manage to.
Okay, I've never. I'm gonna tell this story.
Okay,
it's a funny story. So there was this kid named William, and I was going to elementary school with this kid. It was special ed class, but that's actually not relevant because he had. Here's the thing about special education class is, yes, there are kids that go in there that don't really have mental function, But the thing is special education to the actual teachers means any kid that can't sit down and shut up. That's what it actually means to them. So any kid that talks back or displays any emotional issues, they lump
or individuality.
they lump them into special ed and throw them to the recruits, basically, because no one in the special ed program has the actual credentials to being a teacher. They're all aides. Or actually, no, there is one person, and that's just the main teacher. Everyone else is an aide. They're not actual teachers. But that's, again, aside the point. So this kid was addicted to the lore of 40K. He'd keep talking about it. He wouldn't show me the book. He'd just keep talking about it. And I have it now. It was the 3rd edition.
Okay.
And then I met up, and he just kept talking about it, and how the God Emperor, and he always wanted to be Space Marines. And then we got to high school, and he kind of he mellowed out. I guess he started taking drugs or something, that not like hard drugs, but like Ritalin or something, and he calmed down. I'm actually not quite sure why he was in there, to be honest. He was always a pretty grounded kid.
Bottom line of the story, please.
The bottom line of the story is he told me, oh yeah, I grew out of that because we'd move the miniatures and nothing would happen. It would take far too long to play. And every time I brought it up to him, that's what he would say, and I thought that was really interesting. Is he spent so much time focused on the lore, but the actual game disappointed him, and I didn't really understand why.
And now it seems like Games Workshop is actually addressing that kind of player.
They're addressing those people. They're distilling the rules down so a kid like that can go, wow, this world is amazing. I want to play this game. And they can go, oh, I could just put my miniatures down and we could fight. Cool. Because we as old men go, oh, how dare you just put down your miniatures without a point sheet. But the kids, they want to do that.
Cup of tea? Don't you? And where is your pipe? And where is your where is your suit of tails? You don't know the etiquette of this game. Clearly, you cannot play.
Where is your rulebook, fine young sir? But now they can just, coming summer, they can just print that shit out. The 12 or so pages that they distilled it down to, they can get their codex, they can have their miniatures, and they can do little fights. They can do bigger fights. They can get hooked on this shit. And the thing about the Primaris and the Sigmarines is they were designed with the sole purpose of being big, buff people that moved in with little numbers, which was always a Space Marine motif. That's nothing new. Little numbers, a lot of power. And that's kind of what they've always should have been known for. And the thing is, because they've always had to balance everything around the Space Marines. They always have. And that's why everything in the universe was roughly Space Marine powered. For the longest time.
Yeah, the lore is very Space Marine centric.
If you look at third edition, half the book is fluff dedicated to explaining what the Empire is, how it functions, why it functions. It's written purely Empire centrically.
Yeah, this is the point of view of basically the human player. They are the entry into the Warhammer 40K universe.
or now that's not so much true because the Astra Militarum logically is the stepping stone for a lot of people. Our friend, the General Jerry, he he's an Imperial Guard player, and he was really delighted to hear about some of the changes this week because they all meant that he was stronger. Because he got a Baneblade recently, and it's going to be so much more powerful in this edition. So much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I would love to.
I can't wait to see the Baneblade statistics, because when he sees the Baneblade statistics, he's going to shit himself in happiness.
Oh, definitely.
He'll be like, wait, it has how many wounds? It has how many attacks?
There's a lot of awesomeness to be had, definitely.
Like I unfortunately didn't queue it up, but they also released the Knight Errant statistics. That one of the Imperial Knights, giant mecha, it has 24 wounds.
That's a lot of wounds.
Yes, but there are also weapons that do a lot of wounds.
So yeah, there's.
Because a lot of people
bottom line with this update is that everything got a lot of wounds, so that everything can resist a lot of damage, and everything got a lot of in terms of dealing damage. So
now let's
however,
talk about the intercessors for a few minutes.
Okay, let's go for it.
So intercessors have 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 3 up save, which is typical for Space Marines, and 3 up weapon and ballistic skill, which I think is normal for Space Marines.
Mm-hmm.
It might be better. I don't know. Strength 4, toughness 4, that's regular. 6-inch movement, it's normal. However, the 2 wounds is amazing because Terminators now have 2 wounds. I don't think regular Space Marines do yet. If they did, that would just be fucked up. By the way, every unit in my army has multiple wounds. I would hate it if that was true, but I don't think it is. Now here's the thing, is crack grenades have always been in the game, and now they do D3 damage. And crack grenades, as many know, are just the regular anti-vehicle grenade, anti-armor grenade of the 41st millennium.
Yeah, they're supposed to crack the armor.
Yeah. And almost all elite infantry squads have crack grenades. And almost all officers carry crack grenades.
It's a useful thing to have.
They're just useful because now so more than ever, because you have to keep throwing them, because they don't they can't just instantly kill tanks anymore. You actually have to keep throwing them because they only do D3 damage. However, that's fantastic against things like, say, Intercessor Marines or Terminators, because you have a 33% chance of rolling a 1 on a D3. That's just statistics. So you have a 66% chance of killing anything with 2 wounds with a crack grenade. So they're not as OP as people might think they are.
Yeah, you might not have the 100% chance of killing something like that, but at the same time, basically what we're trying to say here is that the entire landscape of how the game is played is changing. Everything, it's a new chapter, not just in terms of fluff, but in terms of how you play the game. There are a lot of old school players who will come into this and will have to relearn a lot of the rules. because the meta of the game will have a drastic change to it.
Well, yeah, as we've hammered in multiple times, excuse me, vehicles now, because they have a bunch of wounds, they posted the Eldar like Stormwind or whatever, and it has like 6 wounds and it's a transport. So I'm assuming a Rhino has around 6 to 8 wounds, which is okay. That's pretty good. It's able to move in, dump its people out, and keep moving on. So I like that. So the thing with the Intercessor's bolt rifle, that's a game changer because it has AP -1, and I don't think bolt guns have that. I think bolt guns are AP 0. And so that means bolt rifles are fantastic for thinning out infantry. And they just have both kinds of grenades. So I like them. I like them a lot.
That is going to be a lot of fun for everyone.
Okay, so the other thing they did recently is they released a blog post discussing the Titans. And so we talked last week about the org charts and how the org charts are structured so all of the basic units are available. But they didn't have Lords of War on them, and I noticed that and I thought it was weird. And now I realized why. It's because Lords of War are supposed to be those giant like mecha and shit. I didn't realize that at first. By the way, I don't actually play Warhammer 40k. I just pretend to. No, I've never done a game with super heavies, so I didn't know. But with the new command point system, which we're going to lead into, now when you field your group of 3 to 5 Titans, that is now a legitimate army choice, even more so than it used to be. Because the issue with fielding the 3 to 5 before is because of the one wound you're out system, they weren't anywhere near as powerful as they should have been. Which is insane because a 5 model army is itself OP.
Yeah, that's Titans have a special place in everyone's heart. And now you can dress up your 5-year-old younger brother in armor and send him to war on the field. And yeah, it's actually going to be fun.
What we're basically saying is invest in a 3D printer.
Yeah. And then Games Workshop is going to go after you and with cease and desist letters. Because you're infringing on their copyright.
Indeed. With great justice. So,
Indeed.
The thing with fielding the Battleforged armies is you get command points. And depending on the scenario and your army, you get different command point options. Here on the screen, I have Stronghold Assault Stratagems, and for the attacker, you get the Sapper's ability, which lets you attack fortified positions and do more damage. And then there's the Escape Hatch Defender Stratagem, which, whenever you lose one of your bunkers or fortresses, the models are only slain on a roll of 1 instead of 1, 2, or 3. Which basically means if you're Imperial Guard and you have all of your guys in a fortress and it gets blown up, instead of losing half your guys, you're going to lose far less of your guys.
In Star game, players can use the following additional strategy depending on whether they are the attacker or the defender. Sappers and the escape hatch. I see. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
So it's stuff like that. They're making the game more fun and more unpredictable in a good way. Because the thing is playing the same game the same way, the same time, every time is boring.
And if someone doesn't like that, there's always the previous versions of the game available.
And I mean that's why there are 100 factions for this game, and they're announcing another one. That's why the Astra Militarum is split up into like 50 factions. Like
Death Course of Krieg.
So
right?
Yeah, the Death Corps of Krieg exist.
There's the Sister Sororitas, there are the Space Marines that have all kinds of chapters there.
The whole shtick with the Imperial Guard is because every planet has its own regiment.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to develop differently. That's why the Death Corps of Krieg are the way they are. They're just on a very fucked up planet that does that.
Yeah, I believe there are planets on which what are they called? The Imperium, the Astra Militarum, right? Have muskets.
Yes, Scintilla. They have they have laser muskets. I mean, technically, the last gun is already kind of a laser musket, but theirs are like specialized to do that.
No, I mean, the way that I read it is that I don't remember the details now, but there was like a regiment stationed on a planet somewhere, and they were fighting orcs for so long and they didn't get any resupply, so they have to manufacture their own weapons, and because of that, the tech level slowly dropped to the point that they were forced to resort to actual muskets. They won the war against orcs, I believe, and because they eventually got the reinforcements, but they still kept the original technology level that they were stuck with. It's weird.
Huh. I don't know. I couldn't find anything on that. Anyways, on to the next little point here. Weapon profiles for power weapons. Is they released the statistics for the three power weapons, also the power fist, not seen here, but it's really good. And so the thing with power weapons is they're typically given to officers, characters, badasses, and they used to kind of all behave the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the change of the weapon profiles, they're all specialized to kind of do a specific thing. Because the thing is, a lot of factions have their own kinds of power weapons. Like, Chaos has, like, power scythes and shit. So, now they can have it so they all do different things. For instance, the power axe is really good at chopping up armored enemies. The power maul is really good at doing a bunch of damage. It hits really hard because it gives you strength +2.
Mm-hmm.
And power swords use the strength of the user, however, AP -3, so they can cut apart infantry armor really quick. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And they also changed the Power Fist. How the Power Fist used to work is it hit last, but it hit hard. Because there was an initiative system. Is higher initiative attacked first, and then went down to the bottom, and at the bottom was clumsy weapons. Like the Power Fist.
And Power Fist was clumsy.
Yes. So now, because the attackers attack first, that no longer can apply. So instead, you get -1 to your attack roll, but Power Fists hurt.
Princess Power Fister.
And I think Power Fists do D3 damage or something like that. They hit really hard. So with a Power
Pretty
Fist,
much like a crack grenade with a
Yeah.
D3. So yeah, imagine yourself being punched with a grenade.
Okay, so Power Fist statistics are strength ×2, AP -3. So if you're a Spec Marine, that means you have 8 strength. So you're going to liquefy pretty much anything you hit that isn't a tank. AP -3, armor no worky. D3 damage. Fuck you, Primaris Space Marines or Terminators. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from your hit roll. That's what I was talking about. So that is far more elegant than the stat profile for the Power Fist, where you had to look up what clumsy meant, you had to look up this, you had to look up that. I'd love it.
Mm-hmm.
And they also say that the Reaper Chainsword, whatever that is, deals a flat 6 damage to whatever it wounds. Oh, that's right. The Reaper Chainsword is on a Imperial Knight Paladin. I am sorry. Herpiderp. They link it in everything.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, I was looking for the sources on my musket theory. Apparently, on the planet Birmingham, that's where the Astra Militarum is using weapons like muskets.
Ah, I see. Very good.
I'm really sorry about that.
It's all your fault.
Don't worry, I'm going to steal your car to make myself feel better.
Now, what I want to see now is a Primaris squad that uses a bunch of power weapons, because then the OP Salt is complete.
I'm sure. The point is that, well, the problem is that the entire meta is changing. So what we consider OP might actually not be when all the rules
all been
kind
balanced.
of go.
They've strictly set.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is William said that the old way how they would work is they would try not to play as many games because they had to document them very heavily.
I see.
And they were being lazy. And they've since changed that. Now they're doing a lot of play testing because they've been talking to some of their more legendary live streamers, things like that. Is because there are so many people playing it now, they can play test it, and they're play testing it very heavily.
Well, they can actually crowdsource the play testing.
Yes.
Which means that they don't have to do any extra work or pay money to the playtesters and still get data out of the game.
And the thing is because they're going to just keep updating this rule set now instead of just doing a new edition, even though it's still kind of the same rules. They're just gonna have it be a living rule set, and I think that's fantastic. Because if a faction comes out completely destroying everything, they're going to go, oh well, let's change this.
And you will always, and because the rule set is actually free, there is no excuse for you to be up to date with the rule set.
Yeah.
That's actually quite interesting.
And it's going to put an end to this petty edition arguing that always happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, which edition are we playing? This or this or this? What kind of revision do you have? Oh, I have this revision. And I'm playing with this expansion and not this one.
I cannot fucking wait until enough time... Because here's the thing, is enough time went by to where 4th edition went the way of the dodo.
Mm-hmm.
Is almost no one plays 4th anymore, and I love that. But...
you're talking about D&D right now, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Everyone hated the 4th edition when it came out.
4th edition was really bad. And there's still a huge 3.x community, specifically the Pathfinder branch. It's funny how they're clinging on to that, and the central argument for sticking with Pathfinder is 5th edition is different, so it sucks. Is the great thing about Pathfinder is instead of having official content and OGL content, it's all OGL content. Anywho, next topic, Phantom Dust. Phantom Dust we must go. Now, I purposely didn't tell you anything about this.
Okay.
So, what Phantom Dust is I knew it as an Xbox game that came out.
Okay.
And I think it was during the Magic the Gathering craze. I don't know. But the point of Phantom Dust is you awaken in this apocalyptic world, and you have the ability to go out into the wilds of this apocalyptic world and find shit. And people in this world can cast like magic that they prepare in a deck.
I see.
So it's like, they're basically real-time LARPing Magic the Gathering.
So basically the atomic bombs exploded into magic rainbows and flowers.
Well,
and
no,
there's a
dust that racks the planet called Phantom Dust, and that's what does it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this recently came out for free on the Windows 10 marketplace as a HD reboot. And
this is a place of which we are not speaking about.
Yeah,
because
that's why I think their strategy... damn it.
Yes,
I think their strategy is garbage. Because no one likes Windows 10 marketplace.
People would like it if Microsoft wouldn't try to basically undermine freedom of the PC users. Because PC users like open, like free, and like freedom of choice. And Microsoft wants to try every single sneaky tactic that they can imagine in order to corral as many people as possible into this closed market and then become new Apple. I hate this. Not only
So,
because
one of the executives of the studio was saying, play this game more and Microsoft will do more with it. Essentially just begging people like, hey, if you want to see another Phantom Dust game, play this HD reboot. And
you want us to play the Phantom Dust game, I'm going to tell you what you should do. Release it outside of the Windows Store.
yeah, that's why I think that unfortunately Phantom Dust is fighting a losing battle. So here's the thing: is that they did try to reboot Phantom Dust. They tried to do it as a MOBA. It was like 3 versus 3, and you all prepared your deck. It was. I think it would have worked because the game was kind of suited for that. The original multiplayer was 1 versus 1, and I thought it was very restrictive. So 3 versus 3, I thought would have been entertaining. Unfortunately, the executives looked at them and said, "By the way, reports say that people like single player mode, so put in a single player mode." And they went, "Cool, are you giving us funding?" And they went, "No." And that's
I
why
love
a Phantom
executive
Dust
meddling.
reboot never came out.
God damn it.
Fuckers. Alright.
I'm inclined to believe that.
Yeah, that's what, because the original game, it was so trippy. So you run around these like dystopian destroyed landscapes, and you cast weird magic, and
It's all fun
and
and new and original.
It turns out that the guy on the right, the red guy, Edmund, spoiler alert, by the way, it's all his world. It's all his imagination. He controls the Phantom Dust.
Yeah.
And so it's all like anime, crazy, edgy and shit. It's really intense. But anyways,
It's very shonen.
Oh, well, yeah. But the funny thing is, the main character, the guy on the left, he's got this super wacky way of standing where his back's all like jutted forward, so he's standing in like a S shape, and he's all spindly and weird.
So is he doing like the Michael Jackson, like
Kind
lean?
of. I forgot who it is. I think it's the VG Cats. They have a comic where they're like, "Why do you look so weird?"
Or does he look a little bit more like that? Here you go, a picture. Apparently Necro had fainted because of my picture. I'm really sorry, everyone. I seem to be breaking Necro all the time. But yeah, I don't know much about Phantom Dust, but
It was
it's
so
certainly
real.
Yeah.
And the thing is I mean Dex seriously, is you really had to collect the spells Magic the Gathering style. And I had my neighbor got hooked on this game, and he kept playing it. He'd just come over and just start playing it, and I'd zone out on my computer, and then I'd start finally playing him, and he would beat me because he had better cards.
So is the look of the main character a little bit what I posted into the Discord?
Yes. Okay, on to our final bit of info for the Grokkening. Answers nobody wanted. Oh,
I cannot hear you.
Not right now. Give me the critter.
Live, everyone!
All right. God damn it. What defines an edgelord? I saw this and I have to. What the fuck is this? And he's one of those. It's one of those redditors, Rex Francis. It's one of those guys that just suddenly goes, "Oh, what's this?" Not right now.
Where's Dingo?
Not here. Here's the thing about having a brown dog is when they lay on brown grass, they are invisible apparently. Are you back, Jahith? Jahith? Oh, come on.
Hello! Hello! My
There you
apologies, I have returned. Yes. Derps of the internet, live, everyone!
Yeah, my dad managed to lose my dog because my brown dog laid in brown grass.
Sneaky. So, where were we?
What makes an edgelord tick? And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, yes, the answers to questions that nobody wanted.
Yeah. Because this other DM sums this up going, I made a thread about this, and here's what he thinks an edgelord is. And tell me whether or not you agree with this.
Okay, I'm listening.
A lone wolf character who likes going off on their own. A character that finds it impossible to trust anyone, even other party members.
Not really.
A character who thinks he is the most powerful being there is. Oh, I know those people.
Oh, definitely. Basically, I would sum this up like this. Edgelord is a player or a character that was made by a player who has a single-player complex. He plays single-player games. He feels comfortable playing single-player games. He gets satisfaction in winning in those games on preferably easy difficulty or with cheats, and that's okay when you're playing on PC, when you're playing on single player.
Well, the issue with single player RPGs is you, by necessity, have to be good at everything.
Yes, that's correct. D&D is not such a game. It's a party game where you have to play with other people, and some people forget that, right?
Yeah.
Or no? Or am I wrong?
No, there's a level of teamwork that has to be occurring. It's the same thing as I just can't stand those people that join a group and they're like, well, what's my motivation for staying with this player group?
That's your job to figure out. Don't ask me. I'm just the god of this place. You're the one with the free will.
It's like, these people sound like assholes. Why am I sticking with them? Like, dude, that makes no sense. And so I don't think I would call them edgelords. I'd call them something different. But I don't think. But I agree.
Single players.
Single players, no. I just think it's weird that yes, there's a whole group of these people that act this way, and it's really weird.
Well, I'm going to chuck this under the lack of experience for the D&D. These are the kind of people that were roped into D&D or were otherwise enamored with it, with the world and the stories and the way everything works, but they don't really grasp the nuances of it. The D&D is a lot. It has its own culture, and if you do not put the effort to learn that culture, that etiquette, you're going to have a bad time, and you're going to cause other people to have bad time. Because those rules exist there for a reason. They make the game more fun for everyone. And if you don't bother learning them, you're going to make a mess of everything.
Oh,
the
yeah.
good Yeah, the good like priorities to have when creating a character is that you are not perfect. You are not powerful. You are not the chosen one. You are just a schmuck that wants to go about and have some fun for one reason or another. And that's a good way to become an adventurer. That's the reason why there are adventurer guilds that can actually help people to fulfill
Well, that's
that
why I
boredom.
always bitch at my players whenever they go, "Oh, well, I'm a cleric. I clearly have to take the acolyte background," or I'm a fighter. I clearly have to take the soldier background. Like, no, you don't. The whole point is rising above and beyond and being something interesting. And
Yeah,
people try to
for
play
example,
this like a class-based hegemony. Like I had an argument with someone the other week because they were trying to tell me that the name skirmisher means you have to have specific abilities and you can't get these abilities any other way. It has to be from your skirmisher name of class. I was like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. A skirmisher is just a role that you adopt.
as you play. And for example, here's a good one. Let's say that your character was born a farmer. The character is male, so at one point there was a war, and your character was forcibly conscripted into a uh, peasant peasant regiment. They ordered you to get your scythe, remodel it, basically change the angle of the blade so that it points upwards and creates a spear. And they pointed you towards the enemy and told you to fight them with that spear.
Oh, that's aside the point though. But
And there you created a warrior. You liked that. You created became a warrior who fought with that spear. Why not?
I mean, as far as this edgelord thing is concerned, I I disagree with the term edgelord, but I definitely
Yeah.
agree that the player that joins the group and cannot figure out a way to play along is a major thing. Cause, and also, like I had a guy in one of my offline groups. He makes a fighter, and his answer to his first problem is just to split the party. And I go, well, okay, that's a stupid idea. And so I put him up against 4 kobolds, which is what he should be able to handle at deadly. And of course, he gets his ass kicked. But that's the thing. I It's a cooperative game. If you try to 1 versus 1 everything, you're gonna fail. And that's
Yes, you need friends in order to succeed. You need
why
them
people
to.
complain about low level Dungeons and Dragons is because it's so lethal to you as characters because you're about as powerful as a commoner in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just slowly gaining power.
Yes, you're not supposed to be a world-renowned warrior. At best, you might be world-renowned peasant.
In 3.x,
Nobody will farm better potatoes than you.
in 3.x, most members of the military are suggested to be between levels 1 and 3. Is low tier in D&D has just always been that low area of mundane people.
It takes the D&D is made so that the characters can go on a journey. It's a dramatic system. You're supposed to see your character evolve into whatever the dice may bring. Your character, you may want your character to be this powerful warrior, powerful godly wizard, but on your way there, you might lose a finger, you might lose an eye, a kobold might stab you and force you to retire. A lot of different things might happen, but that's not a bad thing, because even if you have to retire a character, that doesn't mean that their journey is over. They might settle down and set families. This is a story-driven game. And later on, maybe the GM will bring that character back and have him be a quest giver next time.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can happen in D&D that that could make the game more interesting. And going towards the perfection, the most powerful, most perfect, no one has ever touched him kind of character, Mary Sue, is not all that fun in the end of at the end of the day. For example, I made my character the Eagle Eye to stay away from the fight, to never engage in hand-to-hand combat, but I did give him some hand-to-hand abilities and short-ranged weapons simply because I was afraid someone might come and fight, basically flank me from behind. But I find that using Eagle Eye to do all those sneaky missions is much more fun than staying all the way back and shooting people with a sniper rifle.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm completely guilty of being having Eagle Eye be a soloer, but I found out that playing on a closer ranges is fun, or even more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely more fun to kind of play someone who plays interesting mechanically. And that's why I advocate for picking a out there background, picking a interesting class archetype, something you're not really used to playing, and then making it work.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of mechanics in fifth edition that you can manipulate and use to give you extra abilities. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, the other week I was challenged to make something like a skirmisher work, and I figured it out. Is in Sword Coast, there's a rogue archetype that allows you to disengage for free if you hit someone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not for free against everyone, but just that target. So what you can do is you can use you can move in, hit them, and then use a little movement to move back.
Yeah, and you can move in, hit, and disengage.
Well, it's not a bonus action. It's just something that happens, so you can hit them
Mm-hmm.
twice.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
And also, I think I'm pretty sure rogues just always have something that lets them do that cunning action.
Yeah, rogues are built to be very mobile. Oh, there it is. Okay.
And yeah, you're not blatantly called a skirmisher, but that's basically how you'd make something like that work. Probably a
Mm-hmm.
rogue with the soldier background. I mean, I speculated ranger, but the more I think about it, rogue would be better. Yeah, they. Yeah. Yeah, or you can use your cunning action to dash and have a nice bit like a rapier. You move 30 in, hit the guy, move 30 out. Can do some very ridiculous sneak attack cheese there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's basically our show. So,
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next week.